Welcome to Ethan's Revenge.
I was standing on the back porch when the message came in. A simple text. 14 years of marriage ended in 14 words. I'm sorry, Noah. I need space. I'm staying at my sister's indefinitely. My name is Noah Carter. 41 years old. Small-town architect. Owner of a quiet life, a fixer-upper house, and what I thought was a good marriage. At 6:37 p.m., the autumn air smelled like rain and wood smoke. At 6:38, it smelled like betrayal. Claire, my wife, was supposed to be on a quick trip to visit her sister in Raleigh. 2 days, she said. She packed light. She kissed my cheek goodbye like it was any other weekend. And then she vanished into the silence between heartbeats. I stood there for a long minute. Phone in one hand, beer in the other. Neither felt real. There were signs, of course. The quiet phone calls. The long showers behind locked doors. The way she stopped laughing at my stupid jokes. Little cracks in the foundation. I'm an architect. I notice when things shift, even if I pretend not to. I finished my beer, set the phone on the porch rail, and looked out over the backyard. The garden Claire planted last spring was dying. She promised we'd fix it up together after the harvest. Another promise left to rot. The screen door creaked behind me. It was my brother, Luke. He lived 2 streets over. We grew up rebuilding things, bikes, sheds, friendships after fights. He didn't say anything, just saw the look on my face and nodded once. A nod that said, whatever it is, I'm here. Without a word, he handed me another beer. And in that quiet moment, under a bruised October sky, I made a decision. No screaming, no begging, no desperate phone calls asking her to come back. Claire made her choice. Now it was my turn to make mine. And I wasn't just going to survive. I was going to rebuild. Stronger, wiser, unbreakable. Because when someone walks out of your life without looking back, you don't chase them. You don't stand in the ruins. You pick up the first brick, and you start again. The next morning, I woke up early. Not because I couldn't sleep. Because there was work to do. First thing, I called my lawyer, Ms. Green. Sharp as a razor. Calm as a surgeon. The kind of woman who didn't waste words or pity. I got your message, she said, her voice crisp. Claire already contacted me last night. Wants to discuss options. Options, I repeated flatly. Yes. She's requesting mediation first. No formal filing yet. I smiled grimly. Of course she was. Claire always wanted to look clean on paper, even when she was rolling in the mud. Let her wait, I said. Ms. Green chuckled. I was hoping you'd say that. Let me do what I do best. After I hung up, I grabbed a notebook and made 2 columns. Left side, things Claire took. Right side, things she couldn't touch. On the left, her toothbrush, her favorite throw blanket, her wedding band, my trust. On the right, my name, my reputation, my home, bought and paid for before we ever met. My company, Carter & Sons Designs, incorporated under my name alone. My dignity. I stared at that list for a while. Let it burn into my mind. Claire could tear down the decorations. But the foundation? That was mine. Always had been. Luke stopped by around noon with coffee. He didn't ask questions. Just dropped it on the table, nodded toward the notebook, and said, Tell me where to start. Garage, I said. We pulled every box, every memory, every leftover relic of a shared life into the driveway. Claire's yoga mats. Claire's college memorabilia. The mountain bike she rode twice and then abandoned. All of it. Neatly boxed. Clearly labeled. By nightfall, a neat wall of her life sat stacked by the front door. I didn't toss it. Didn't burn it. Didn't vandalize a single thing. That's not how real men handle betrayal. Instead, I texted her one line. Your belongings are packed. Arrange pickup by Sunday. After that, it's out of my hands. At 10:14 p.m., my phone buzzed. Not Claire. Her sister, Megan. Please, Noah. She's just confused. Give her time. I stared at the message. Felt the old instincts, the fixer in me, stir. Maybe I should. No, not this time. I typed back 2 words. No problem. And then I blocked the number. Because forgiveness isn't a blank check. It's a gift. And Claire just shredded hers. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Solid. Dreamless. Like a man who finally stopped waiting for a storm to pass. And decided to build himself a better house instead. Tomorrow, I'd start drawing the new blueprints of my life. And Claire? She'd realized too late. She was never part of the foundation. By Saturday morning, the real fallout began. First, A voicemail. Claire's voice shaky, too sweet. Hey, can we talk? I think we rushed into things. Maybe we just need some time apart, not all this. Time apart? 12 years together, and she wanted to call gutting our marriage time apart? I didn't reply. Didn't even save the message. Deleted it the way you scrape off something rotten. By noon, Megan called again, this time from a different number. Persistent, I'll give her that. Claire's a wreck, Noah. She's realizing what she lost. Please, just meet her. One coffee. For closure. Closure. That word made me laugh out loud, a dry, bitter sound in my empty kitchen. Closure is what you ask for when you're hoping for a loophole. At 2 p.m., I walked into the garage, grabbed a Sharpie, and wrote one more word across every box of her things. Claire. Big. Bold. Final. If she didn't show up to claim them by Sunday night, they were going to a storage unit with her name and number on the contact list. No tears. No second chances. Just facts. While I worked, Luke pulled up in his truck, tossed me a cold beer without a word. We sat on the tailgate in the late afternoon sun, sipping slowly, watching the shadows stretch across the driveway. You okay? He finally asked. I thought about it. Really thought. I'm not broken, I said. Just awake. Luke nodded like he understood. Maybe he did. Maybe he'd been through his own wars I never knew about. We didn't say much after that. Didn't need to. Sometimes, the best support is just another man sitting quietly beside you while you patch yourself up. At 5:47 p.m., Claire texted again. You're being childish. We can split things fairly if you just stop being stubborn. Split things fairly. She said that like it was a negotiation. Not like she'd already taken the first swing and was mad she didn't land the knockout. I didn't answer. Instead, I took another sip of beer and watched the sunset bleed gold across the rooftops. By nightfall, I knew the shift had happened. Not in Claire. In me. Because for the first time since she walked out, I didn't feel like the abandoned one anymore. I felt like the survivor. And the real irony? Claire thought she was leaving me behind to chase a better life. She didn't realize. She was the one getting left in the dust. The clock was ticking. Sunday was coming. And with it, the clean break I didn't even know I needed. She had until sunset. After that, game over. Sunday evening came like a slow drumbeat. I stacked the last box by the garage door. Her clothes. Her books. The designer handbag she used to brag about on Instagram. All neatly labeled. All ready to go. At 6:02 p.m., a white BMW pulled into the driveway. Fashionably late, like always. Claire stepped out wearing sunglasses, even though the sun was already setting. Designer jeans. Fresh manicure. Acting like she was here to pick up dry cleaning, not the wreckage of a marriage. Behind her, a tall guy climbed out of the passenger seat. Athletic build. Cocky posture. Tyler. The upgrade. They didn't hold hands. Didn't look at each other. Already cracks in their picture-perfect escape plan. Claire approached, arms crossed tight over her chest. Noah, she said. Cool. Polite. Like a customer complaining about a latte. Claire. I nodded. Just as cool. Her eyes flickered to the boxes stacked up neatly in the garage. To the way I hadn't touched a single thing since Friday night. This isn't necessary, she said, forcing a tight smile. We can work out the details like adults. I said nothing. Just leaned against the doorway, arms folded. Tyler shifted his weight, clearing his throat. Tried to play tough. You don't have to make this harder than it is, man, he said. Man. I almost laughed. I pushed off the wall slowly, took a step closer. Not aggressive. Just enough. You're right, I said, voice low and even. No need to make it hard. I reached into my pocket and tossed a set of keys toward Claire. She fumbled, almost dropping them. Garage is open. Truck's out back. You can use it to move everything, I said. You've got an hour. After that, it's going to a storage unit, and I'm not paying the bill. Claire opened her mouth to argue. Saw something in my face that stopped her. Maybe it was the finality. The cold clarity. Because when a man's done, really done, you can feel it like a steel door slamming shut. Without a word, she turned back to Tyler. He hesitated, glanced at me, then muttered, come on, and started hauling boxes. I didn't help. Didn't offer water. Didn't ask if she needed anything. I just watched. Watched her load up the life she tried to abandon me for. Piece by piece. Box by box. She struggled with a heavy box labeled photos. Almost dropped it. I didn't move. Not my memories anymore. Not my problem. When the last box was shoved into the BMW, Claire slammed the trunk and turned back to me. There was something in her eyes now. Not anger, not triumph. Loss. Real, gut-deep loss. But it was too late for that. She had made her choice. And I had made mine. Goodbye, Noah, she said finally, voice cracking just a little. I nodded once. Good luck, Claire. I watched them drive away without looking back. Without a fight. Without a scene. Because some goodbyes don't need fireworks. Just silence. And the quiet certainty that you're finally free. Monday morning, the air smelled different. Colder. Sharper. Like something had finally snapped free inside me. I poured myself a coffee, strong, black, and sat by the window. Watched the sun climb over the rooftops. Watched the world keep turning, like it always does. Claire was gone. Tyler was gone. The chapter was closed. Or so I thought. At 9:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it ring. Let it go to voicemail. I wasn't in the business of chasing ghosts. At 10:03, another call. Then a text. Unknown. You need to call me. It's about Claire. Urgent. No signature. No apology. Just desperation wrapped in bad decisions. I sipped my coffee and ignored it. Because sometimes, the best thing you can do for the people who betrayed you is let them drown in the mess they made. By noon, Matt showed up at my door. He didn't knock. Just let himself in, holding 2 sandwiches and that look on his face, the one he got right before delivering bad news. You seen this? He asked, tossing his phone onto the table. On the screen was a local news article. Fitness center faces lawsuit over fraudulent memberships. And right there, in the grainy photo, Tyler, grinning like an idiot at a grand opening party 6 months ago, the same time Claire started staying late at yoga. I scrolled down. Turns out, Tyler's business wasn't built on hard work. It was built on maxed-out credit cards, fake contracts, and promises he couldn't keep. And now, the lawsuits were piling up. Claire's name popped up too. Not as a co-owner. Not officially. But her signature was on 3 major financial documents, including a personal guarantee for a $75,000 equipment loan. Signed 3 weeks before she drained our joint account. Signed while we were still married. I leaned back in my chair, sandwich forgotten. Matt whistled low. She screwed herself worse than she screwed you, he said. I didn't reply. Just stared out the window. Because some betrayals? They come with their own punishment attached. You don't have to lift a finger. You just have to watch gravity do its job. At 2:14 p.m., another text popped up. Unknown. Please, Noah. I didn't know he was like this. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I need your help. The words didn't move me. The old Noah? He would have felt that tug in his chest. Would have believed the apology. Would have tried to save someone who didn't deserve it. But the man sitting in that chair, the man Claire left behind like an old sweater she didn't want anymore. He wasn't made for second chances. Not anymore. I locked the phone, tossed it face down on the table. Then I grabbed my jacket. Because life doesn't stop for broken hearts. It moves forward. And so was I. That evening, as the sky bled into twilight, I drove out toward the west side of town. No music. No distractions. Just the steady hum of tires on asphalt and the cold clarity that comes when you finally stop lying to yourself. I wasn't going to save Claire. Not this time. Not ever again. But there was still one thing I needed to do. The gym Tyler built, the one he bragged about, posted about, lived in, sat empty now. A closed for legal review sign hung crookedly in the front window, fluttering in the breeze. I parked across the street. Sat there for a long minute, just watching. Watching the empire they build on lies crumble into dust. I wasn't proud. Wasn't gleeful. It was just necessary. The way tearing down rotten beams is necessary before you can rebuild anything worth standing on. The front door creaked open. Tyler stormed out, dragging a crate of equipment toward a battered pickup truck. Alone. Sweaty. Defeated. No Claire in sight. Funny how soulmates scatter when the money runs dry. I watched him struggle with the crate, too heavy, too awkward. Watched him curse under his breath, kicking the side of the truck when the crate refused to fit. It would have been so easy to get out, to walk across the street, to offer him a hand. But some lessons? They're best learned the hard way. At 7:45 p.m., my phone buzzed again. New number. New message. Unknown. Noah, please. I'm staying at my sister's. I just need someone to talk to. I'm sorry for everything. I stared at the text for a long time. Then I typed 2 words. Not my problem. And hit send. Block. Delete. Move on. At 8:30, Matt called. You good? He asked. Better than good, I said, watching Tyler finally give up and slump into the driver's seat of his truck. Figured, Matt chuckled. You coming by O'Malley's tonight? Yeah, I said, smiling to myself. I think it's time for a drink. Because while Claire and Tyler were busy drowning in consequences, I was busy living. At 9 o'clock sharp, I walked into O'Malley's. Same cracked leather booths. Same neon buzz. Same jukebox playing old Springsteen songs nobody requested but everyone secretly loved. Matt waved me over. One whiskey, neat, he said to the bartender, sliding a glass toward me. You did it, he added, clinking his glass against mine. You outlasted them. I nodded. Because survival isn't about being the loudest or the angriest. It's about standing so still and so strong that the storm spins itself trying to move you. And fails. That night, I slept better than I had in years. And for the first time, I didn't dream about what I'd lost. I dreamed about everything still waiting for me ahead. Morning came slow and golden. I woke up without an alarm, sunlight bleeding through the thin curtains of my new apartment. No stress. No guilt. No weight on my chest. Just quiet. Real quiet. The kind you only notice after living too long surrounded by someone else's noise. I brewed a strong pot of coffee, black as a crow's wing, and sat by the window, watching the city wake up. People rushing to work. Kids dragging backpacks bigger than they were. Dog walkers and early joggers carving paths through the mist. Life moved on. And so did I. By noon, I'd already finished half a client project, a renovation design for a local cafe looking to expand. The owner paid me up front, no drama, no lies. It felt good. Simple. Clean. At 1 p.m., I checked my email. There it was, the final divorce decree. Signed. Stamped. Sealed. No contest from Claire. Not even a whisper of a fight. Maybe she knew it would be useless. Maybe she just didn't have the strength left to pretend. I clicked download, saved a copy to my hard drive, and forwarded another to my attorney with a simple message. It's done. No fireworks. No grand speeches. Just closure. I stood up, stretched, feeling every inch of my body loosen, like a prisoner realizing the cell door had been open all along. Freedom wasn't loud. It was a long exhale you didn't even know you were holding. At 3 p.m., Matt texted me. You free tonight? Jess's cousin's in town. Cute. Smart. Big into hiking. I smiled. A few months ago, I would have said no. Would have made an excuse. Would have told myself I wasn't ready. But today? Today was different. I replied. Sure. 7 p.m. O'Malley's? Life wasn't waiting for me anymore. It was happening. And for the first time in a long, long time, I wasn't stuck chasing the past. I was building something new, brick by steady brick. That evening, as the sun sank low and the city lights blinked to life, I pulled on my jacket, locked my apartment door, and stepped out into the cool, forgiving night. No fear. No second thoughts. Only forward. Because when you've been burned and still find the strength to rebuild, you don't just survive. You become unbreakable. O'Malley's was buzzing when I got there. Not too loud. Not too flashy. Just the right kind of place for people who didn't need to scream to be heard. Matt was already at a high top near the back, 2 beers sweating on the table. Next to him sat a woman with short auburn hair, a denim jacket, and a quiet smile that didn't try too hard. Exactly my speed. This is Erin, Matt said, pushing a beer toward me. Ryan, I said, offering my hand. Her shake was firm. Steady. I heard you survived a storm, she said, eyes glinting with humor. I chuckled. Yeah. A hurricane dressed up like a yoga instructor. She laughed, real and unfiltered, and just like that, the ice was broken. We talked. Not small talk. Real talk. She was a landscape architect. Loved old jazz records. Preferred hiking boots over high heels. Halfway through my second beer, I realized something. I wasn't thinking about Amy. Not comparing. Not analyzing. Not wondering what could go wrong. I was just there. Present. It felt strange. Good strange. Around 9 p.m., the jukebox in the corner started playing an old Sam Cooke song, and Erin smiled. I love this one, she said. Me too. We didn't dance. Didn't need to. Just sat there, letting the music fill the spaces words couldn't reach. When she got up to leave, she hesitated, then scribbled her number on a napkin. No pressure, she said, tucking it into my hand. I nodded. Thanks for tonight. Thanks for surviving, she said with a wink. And then she was gone, out into the cool night, boots clicking against the sidewalk. I stayed a little longer, sipping the last of my beer, staring at the napkin. It wasn't a promise. Wasn't a fairy tale. Just a door cracked open, a choice. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid to walk through it. Matt clapped me on the back as he passed by, headed out. "You good, bro?" I looked at him, really looked, and for the first time in what felt like years, I could answer honestly. "Yeah, I'm good." The night air hit my face as I stepped outside, fresh and clean and full of possibilities. Life wasn't waiting for me to be ready. It was already moving. And this time, I was moving with it. No regrets. No revenge. No looking back. Only forward. Because sometimes the best way to win is simply refusing to let the past hold you hostage. By Monday morning, the last echoes of Amy's world collapsing had finally gone quiet. No more texts. No more desperate calls. No more "let's talk" messages. Just silence. The kind that settles into your bones and lets you breathe again. I packed the last few boxes from the townhouse. A few old leather-bound journals. My dad's fishing rod. Some photos from before everything got complicated. Everything else, the trendy furniture, the curated wall art, the Instagram-perfect kitchenware, I left behind. Let her have the stage props. I was taking the real memories. Matt showed up around noon, pickup truck idling by the curb. "You ready?" he asked. I looked at the house, the one Amy had staged her betrayal in, and felt nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Not nostalgia. Just closure. "Yeah," I said. "Let's go." We loaded the last boxes in silence, like two guys moving furniture but really moving on. Halfway through, Matt asked, "You ever wonder if she regrets it?" I tightened the strap on a box and shrugged. Maybe. Maybe not. Doesn't really change anything. Because regret without change is just a bruise you keep poking. And I wasn't in the business of bleeding for people who'd already turned their backs. We drove to the storage unit I'd rented. Dropped everything off. No ceremony. No new beginnings speeches. Just a man putting away the last remnants of a closed chapter. Afterward, we grabbed burgers from a hole-in-the-wall place we'd been going to since college. Matt toasted with his soda. To fresh starts. I clinked my cup against his. To better endings, I corrected with a grin. Later that night, sitting on the porch of my small cabin, I pulled out my phone. Not to scroll. Not to check if Amy had posted some sad, vague quote about heartbreak. I opened my notes app, typed 3 words. Not looking back. And saved it. A reminder for the days ahead. Because survival isn't about escaping the fire without scars. It's about wearing those scars like armor. Proof you made it out alive. The stars were out in full by then. Silent. Steady. Unbothered by human messes. I leaned back in the old rocking chair, listening to the night sounds, crickets, wind in the trees, the occasional owl. For the first time in months, my mind was quiet too. No more reruns of what went wrong. No more replays of what if. Just a man, a porch, and a life waiting to be lived. Tomorrow, I'd start building something new. Not out of spite. Not to prove anything. Just because I could. Because the best revenge is living so well they can't even recognize the man they tried to break. Spring came slow to the lake. First the ice melted in thin, stubborn sheets. Then the trees budded cautiously, as if asking permission to breathe again. And finally, one morning, the air smelled like possibility instead of survival. I woke up early, made a pot of coffee, and sat out on the porch, same as every morning. Only this time, something was different. The weight was gone. Not forgotten. Not erased. Just set down. Like carrying a heavy pack for too many miles, and finally realizing you can leave it at the trailhead and walk the last stretch free. The divorce finalized 3 weeks ago. Amy didn't fight it. Couldn't. By the end, she was just a name on paperwork. No longer the ghost in every room I entered. The townhouse was sold. The accounts closed. The debt she tried to leave behind, hers alone now. Matt called sometimes with updates. "Tyler's working construction now," he said once, laughing. "Patching drywall for minimum wage." I didn't gloat. Didn't smile. I just let it pass through me like a breeze. Because that wasn't my story anymore. It was theirs. And I had my own to write. One with no need for villains. No space for resentment. Just blank pages, clean, and waiting. Later that afternoon, I drove into town. Signed the lease on a small office, nothing fancy, just a 2-room space with big windows and creaky floors. Enough to start my own engineering consultancy. Nothing corporate. Nothing flashy. Just good work, done honestly. After I signed the papers, I stood outside for a while, looking at the faded brick, the worn doorknob. It wasn't a palace. It wasn't a castle. It was a beginning, and it was mine. That evening, Matt and a few old friends came by to celebrate. Pizza on paper plates, beers in mismatched mugs. No speeches, no declarations, just laughter, stories, plans whispered under the soft hum of string lights I strung up between the porch beams. At one point, as the sun dipped low and the sky went molten gold, Matt nudged me and said, "You ever think you'd end up here?" I looked out at the water, at the slow, steady breath of the lake against the shore. "No," I said, "but I think I finally ended up where I'm supposed to be." Later, when everyone left and the stars came out, I sat alone for a while. Phone off, mind quiet, and I realized something simple, something true. Winning isn't getting revenge. It's refusing to let broken people break you. It's choosing to heal louder than they hurt you. It's building a life so strong, so full, so damn beautiful. They don't even recognize the man walking away from the ashes. I wasn't the guy who got left anymore. I wasn't the guy who lost everything. I was the guy who rebuilt, brick by brick, step by step, day by day. And this time, I wasn't building it for anyone else, only for me. If you want more stories like this, stories about betrayal, survival, and starting over, consider subscribing.